Hi folks, just a little update on the cooling system video that I put out 2 weeks ago. There was one thing that I missed out. If you have a coolant leak from your expansion tank, so you've checked and the level is definitely dropping, but you can't see any visible leaks from the water pump area or the hoses or the heater matrix, there doesn't appear to be anything amiss. This might be why. Now, on the 1.4, 1.6 Zetec engine, you have between spark plugs number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 core plugs, two little steel plugs. They're very thin, they're not thick at all. They're designed only to be in use if, in the extreme example, that the block was to freeze on a very, very freezing cold day and there isn't enough antifreeze in the system, and so obviously the water is going to freeze and it could cause certain parts of the engine to crack. It's aluminium, it could crack the block. That has happened in the past. A lot of engines have core plugs fitted for this reason. The truth is, if you've got even if you've got a mildly mixed antifreeze mixture, you're not going to get that. And to be fair, not many days of the year do we get -1 in the UK. Unless you live up north, that might be a bit different. Living in Birmingham, we don't see much, and certainly not down south. In fact, it's probably the opposite. It's probably going to be extreme heat down south rather than not. But literally, you've got the two plugs that sit there and they can corrode through. This has happened many times in the past. What you need to do, if they're corroding through, the coolant will be sitting around the spark plug areas. There won't be much, but there's a possibility some of that coolant could have been burned out the back of the engine. The other symptom of the core plugs going is white smoke out the back, because you'll be burning water. The water will get between the threads of the spark plugs, go straight into the cylinder and out the back of the engine. I've never known it to get so bad where it's actually caused the engine to hydrolock. That would you'd have to waterlog the engine for that. It would just get past the threads very slowly, but it would be burnt as white smoke. So if you're losing coolant and you're burning white smoke, it's not a head gasket, okay, unless you've overheated it. If you've overheated it and it's been in the red, you naughty boy, you may have done something bad. I would suggest either a compression check, and check the core plugs. If the core plugs haven't corroded and they're not leaking, I would suggest that you have a look at some head gasket tests. There's a compression test you can do. You can do a coolant system pressure check. There's a few things you can do to check for that. Or you could get a sniff tester, and that'll be another way of doing it. But anyway, that's another video. But basically, all you need to do, whatever one's corroded, I'd replace both, because it comes as a pack of two. They're very cheap to get hold of, probably about 10-15 quid, or maybe less than that. Get a screwdriver, jab it in, twist, and just try and yank it out. They'll come out quite nicely. I've never known them to actually be seized in. You probably just need to break it to the point where it just falls into bits, and then just pull as much out as you can, and try not to drop as much stuff into the coolant passage as you can. Don't worry if you drop a minor bit, it will just circulate and it will come out. It'll probably make its way to the bottle, knowing how the system works. So, and then you just tap them in with, just clean the edges, tap them in with a similarly sized socket, and you're done, and you're back to normal. Now the truth is, what causes this, I don't necessarily believe that the core plugs are badly designed. I don't think many owners have had this issue, but a few have over the years. And I do believe that at some point, even if the car currently has a good level of antifreeze, it may have had some poor maintenance in the past where the coolant antifreeze level has not been topped up and kept at the right level. This is what I said during the cooling system video. The best preventative maintenance on any of the Zetec petrol engines and the diesel engines is just keep the coolant level at the right level of antifreeze. Get the ready mix stuff if you don't want to mix water and coolant. Do that, because it's the correct strength, and if you've got the correct strength, it preserves the hoses, it preserves the water pump, it preserves the core plugs. It does an awful lot to the system. It cleans the radiator and the matrix. They don't get gunked up. So I really recommend that you look at the coolant antifreeze levels, because If it isn't at the correct level, if there's too much water in the antifreeze mixture, that can cause the corrosion of the core plugs, and I think it is most likely the cause. I'm not saying that some owners have badly neglected their cars when they haven't, but it's something that I will point out to you. It's the first thing that I would think about. It's a lack of maintenance of the cooling system, either currently or in the past, and unfortunately the damage has been done. Unfortunately, as us owners, if you've just recently bought your Focus in the last couple of years, the car's had a good 15 years before you bought it, where somebody could have skimped on this, and you're trying to correct that damage in a way and trying to get the car back onto baseline. I know the way it is. I'm doing the same with the Rover. It's been neglected for the last few years, and I'm trying to get it back onto baseline. So that's really what it is. So I'm going to leave you there with that. Take care, guys. I will see you very soon.